Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to give you that ultimate shortcut to being well-informed, digging through sources to find the absolute best insights.
And today, our source material is, well, it's incredibly concentrated.
It really is. We are dissecting the short but just emotionally potent lyrics from the song Coopex Sad Lines.
It's such a powerful piece of text.
Yeah.
And it's powerful because of how tightly the author packs these distinct emotional stages into just a few lines.
Yeah, exactly. So our mission for you today is to go beyond that surface-level sadness. We're looking at the emotional architecture presented here.
Right. Specifically, how a cycle of intense regret, a failure to learn, and then the need for emotional self-preservation. How all of that defines the speaker's entire world.
We're doing a detailed breakdown of one person's emotional journey. It's not a chronology of a single event. It's more like a map of a painful, repetitive psychological loop.
The speaker is trapped.
Huh.
And we're using their words to figure out the mechanisms of that trap.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the moment the floor dropped out, the initial catastrophe.
So the whole emotional landscape, it just kicks off with this sudden, almost violent realization. The speaker states it so plainly. Thought you were the one, but you broke my heart.
And that first part, thought you were the one, that carries so much weight, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It tells you immediately that the stakes were the highest they could possibly be. This wasn't some casual relationship. This was, well, this was future planning, identity investment, the whole thing.
So when that kind of investment collapses, the damage is just exponential. It's not a breakup. It's a structural failure of your identity. And the text reflects that severity right away with the next line. So you tore me apart.
Tore me apart. That phrasing moves so far beyond standard disappointment.
It really does. It implies an injury that's systemic, a dismantling of the self that feels, well, total and absolute.
And if we look closely, that absolute destruction isn't happening in a vacuum. The text immediately gives us critical context. It says, as if I haven't had enough. This suggests the speaker didn't start this relationship from a place of, emotional abundance. They were already carrying pre-existing vulnerabilities, a history of pain.
So the current betrayal didn't just cause new damage.
Exactly. It leveraged an already compromised foundation. It made everything so much worse.
I see that connection. I mean, when you're running on empty emotionally, even a minor setback can feel like a total wipeout. But here's a question for you, the listener, to kind of think about.
Yep.
If the speaker was already hurting, as if I haven't had enough, why were they willing to commit so completely to the point of believing this person was the one?
Well, that really speaks to the inherent risk in seeking connection after you've been through trauma. There's a psychological mechanism at play where, after repeated failures, the brain often seeks one monumental success to override all the previous pain.
So they weren't just looking for a partner.
No, not at all. They were looking for emotional vindication. And the irony is that by placing such high stakes on this one person, they inadvertently set themselves up for that maximized catastrophic fall.
So the vulnerability, when you pair it with high hopes and that prior damage, it acts like rocket fuel for regret.
It does.
Which transitions us perfectly into the core conflict, where the speaker pivots dramatically from blaming the partner to, well, blaming themselves. This is captured by that truly devastating line, should have known better, but you don't learn.
That is the pivotal moment in the entire emotional narrative. They stop looking outward at the person who broke their heart, and they start looking inward at their own perceived failure.
And that you don't learn, that feels like they're talking to themselves, doesn't it?
It functions most powerfully that way, I think, as the speaker addressing an internalized version of themselves. It's a performance of self-indictment for repeating a destructive pattern.
The real takeaway here, then, is that the deepest pain isn't the loss of the relationship. It's the sense of self-betrayal.
Yes. It's the realization that they failed to heed the lessons that, the universe or past experience had already tried to teach them. They're essentially accusing themselves of being willfully stupid.
And we've all felt that. It's the pain of cyclical error.
It is. Think of it like repeatedly touching a hot stove. You get burned. You understand why you got burned, you vow never to do it again, but then the next time, you see a stove that looks just a little different.
Or you're just feeling a bit more optimistic that day.
Right, and you touch it anyway. The speaker acknowledges the pattern, should have known better, while at the same time admitting the failure to execute the lesson. But you don't learn.
I think we need to linger on that cyclical nature for a second, because that's what makes the pain stick. How does this failure to learn usually show up in the real world? Is it like ignoring your friend's warnings, dating the same person with a different face.
It's often a combination of both, and it's fueled by what psychologists call optimism bias. You recognize the signs. Maybe the partner is emotionally inconsistent or they're unreliable early on, but you tell yourself,
This time it's different.
this time is different. I am the exception. My love, my commitment, my presence will change the pattern. That belief that you can succeed where everyone else failed is what causes that failure to learn to repeat.
And the speaker here is just crushed because their optimism bias was catastrophically disproven.
Exactly.
But hold on, if they were tore apart, doesn't that immediately invalidate the self-criticism? I mean, they sound like a genuine victim who's blaming themselves because it's easier than accepting that the world can just be unfair.
That is a really perceptive point, and it raises an important question. Is this regret functional, or is it just another way to control the chaos?
What do you mean by that?
Well, by saying, I should have known, the speaker's trying to restore a sense of order. If I messed up, then I can fix it next time. If the partner was just cruel and unpredictable, well, the world is chaotic, and that's much scarier than being someone who doesn't learn.
So the self-blame, as painful as it is, offers a false sense of control. That makes perfect sense. Okay, so this failure to learn creates this devastating regret, which immediately